I'd like to reconvene open session of the Washington Unified School District Regular Board of Education meeting for April 14, 2016. I apologize to everyone. We are going to go back into closed session after we're done and let you all go home. But we wanted to come out here because we know we had a lot of children that need to do homework. So accept our apologies. So with that, Renee, can I get you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And after the Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone can remain standing, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can remain standing, please. I think everybody in this community is well aware of we had a horrific accident, and it took two of our very close and respected community members. At this time, we'd like to observe a moment of silence for Stephanie Finnegan and Lloyd Tinsley Jr. We thank you, and they will be truly missed. This time, there's no announcement of action taken in closed session. As I stated, we're going to continue with our session. We have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Communications and celebrations. We have the recognition of the culinary arts students and team that participated in the National Restaurant Association Pro Start competition.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, Superintendent Luna. Good evening, Cabinet. Thank you for allowing us to recognize our Pro Start, our Culinary Arts Pro Start competition team. I'm here tonight to recognize the students for their hard work at the California Restaurant Association's Education Foundation Pro Start competition that was downtown at the Convention Center. The 4 students competed. They created their own menus. It had to be a 3-course menu. They had to make it all within a certain time limit, all within an hour. They had to demonstrate certain knife skills and various skills. They had to show judges how they did their costing and how they, multiple skills that they had to demonstrate to the judges, who they admittedly said were very, very nice to them. So we're very proud of this team, and I'm here to give out the certificates, and I will just announce them right here. So the first one is going to go to the team captain, Cecilia Gutierrez. So each student is receiving a certificate from the California Restaurant Association, and then also the superintendent Washington Unified School District is giving a certificate of recognition to each of the students for their academic excellence in this area. So we thank the school district and thank the students for their performance. Okay. The next certificate of recognition goes to Gabriel Maltez. And Maribel Rodriguez. And Jake Saley. Their teacher, Cheryl Sutton, was unable to be here this evening, but she will also get recognition for her part in this. And we're just very proud, and thank you for inviting us to do this recognition this evening.
Before you guys sit down, I don't know if you recognize me, but I was there and I watched you. I was the one that almost got kicked out for hollering and cheering you guys on. But I just want to congratulate you guys very much. I know it was stressful. It was a great experience. Your food looked great, and I look forward, and hopefully you continue on and we can see you some more in some of those competitions. And congratulations, and thank you for representing River City. Thanks.
And next, Stan Moisich, principal of River City High School, is going to come up and introduce our Skills USA awards.
Is this for the engineering?
Yes.
Okay, this is our item J2 for the River City School Engineering and Science Academy students with win of gold, silver, and bronze medals in the California State Skills USA competition.
Thank you, President Cruz. Thank you, board members. Thank you, Cabinet. So I want to give you a little brief background on the Academy, the Electronics and Engineering Academy. It has been at River City High School for 16 years now, and during that entire time, Miss Sadiqa Yusufi has been the teacher, the lead teacher. Although she's the lead teacher, we've also had teachers connected in the English, history, science, and math departments that are also involved with this. And some of those are actually behind me right now. So it's been a definite team effort, but Miss Sadiqa is the glue that holds it all together, and she unfortunately was not able to be here tonight, but this is quite an achievement for her. So we have been actually in the Skills USA competition for 6 years now. So gold, silver, bronze, that means there's a total of 18 medals up for grabs in those 6 years. River City High School has had 14 of those 18 medals during that 6 years of competition, including 5 gold, 5 silver, and 4 bronze medals. So it's actually, I don't know what words to describe it. It's like a dynasty. Those kids are just amazing over there with Miss Sadiqa. And tonight we're honored to have this year's students, and I would start with Calvin Jang, who is actually our bronze medalist. Come on up, Calvin. As Ms. Renee Collins pointed out earlier, these are certificates that are signed by our superintendent, Ms. Linda Luna. Thank you for acknowledging us. Our silver medalist, Jade Pascal. And remember, these are medals, these aren't River City High School medals. These are the state medals. Our gold medalist, Roman Yamaltidinov. Now, this year is special because for the first time ever, we actually have an officer chosen to the state committee for Skills USA. And she's here with us, Gabriela Tolstova. Miss Yusufi, who's not here again, she also has a certificate here. She was chosen as State Advisor of the Year. So there was some firsts this year as well as just the medals. So great year for Skills USA. And on behalf of River City High School, we thank all of you for acknowledging us here tonight.
Thank you.
And I believe I wanted to also point out tonight that your next people coming up, our next students, they're also very, very well connected with the Academy, and most of them are actually Academy students as well. And I believe Ms. Renee Collins and our friend Debbie Bruns from Yolo County Office of Ed, and our teacher, Ms. Jen McAllister, they're supposed to come up here and present to you.
And this is item J3, the recognition of WUSD solar suitcase builds, the Project Solar.
We're going to add one more instructor from Westmore Oaks, Jen Garcia, and all of the students that are related to the Solar Suitcase Project, Grid Alternatives, the Energy Efficiency Audit, and ACE Mentoring. Okay, so if everybody could just kind of come up and stand up here. And then I know our students are going to do a short, brief presentation with a slideshow for you.
Respected board members, ladies and gentlemen, today River City High School students will inform you about all the hands-on projects we have experienced in the academy. We have Jajit Singh, Sami Malaxe, Eloy Santiago, Gabby Tostola, Ravneet Kaur, and Treasure Acevedo. Sorry. The projects we have been involved with include solar suitcases sent to the Philippines, a solar install with grid alternatives at 2 West Sacramento homes, a field trip to SunPower, an energy audit with UC Davis, an ACE project, and Westmore Oaks and Elkhorn Village have also made solar suitcases.
Hi, I'm Jen Garcia from Westmore Oaks, and I have Vita Farley, Georgia Wallace, and Celia Manharas. They're just 3 of my students that did the solar suitcases.
So for the journey of the solar suitcases, we sent them to the Philippines for schools without electricity, and we did this in partnership with SunPower and We Share Solar. There are some pictures up there of Westmore Oaks and them checking in and organizing their supplies.
Here are some pictures of the Westmore Oaks students testing their suitcases outside. Washington Unified created 25 suitcases. Here are some pictures of the River City students creating the suitcases.
And then here we have some of the River City High School students testing their suitcases outside.
This is the Westmore Oaks Solar Team. This is one of the River City Solar Suitcase teams. They also have a slogan that says, "Solar, under the same sun, all rooms will be lit."
Our River City students were very fortunate to work with Grid Alternatives, a city of installing solar panels in low-income homes. Here are some pictures of the students installing the solar panels.
This is the River City team for UC Davis Energy Audit Internship. What we did was we audited the math and art building in our school, and we noted down all the problems in the buildings. We used all that data to understand how electricity was wasted on our campuses. We did it because we wanted to identify cost-effective ways to improve the comfort and the efficiency of the buildings.
So technically, energy audit was supposed to help us try to save money, try to help the community and the world by switching to green. And in total, if we do their recommendations, we save over $40,000. I would recommend giving it to Ms. Yusufi for her hard work.
Next up, we have our ACE after-school program, which stands for Architecture, Construction, and Engineering. It basically gives you hand-on experience in engineering, different types of engineering fields. This year, we had a community needs project, and what we decided to make was an urgent care facility because we do not have one relatively close in our vicinity. On our slide plan, it shows through some of the basic concepts that we need to go through, such as floor plan, site plan, 3D models. We also conducted surveys and did an interview just to get basic feedback on what types of things that we need to try to do. We also did a physical model that you can see as of right here. It's a working physical model with all the electrical components working and everything. If I can flash it on, it totally works. In case you can play with that later. And then those are pictures of us making our physical model. Yeah.
So this was just an overview of the partnerships and programs that give students the opportunity to be college and career ready and to learn how to apply what we learn in class to the real world. We're excited to see how our projects impact the world. We'd also like to thank our supporters, our teachers, and the board. But mostly, we'd like to thank Ms. Yusufi for her hard work and dedication. Thank you.
I'm going to pass out certificates to the students who participated, signed certificates from Superintendent Luna. Salman Malaksi. Leslie Garcia. Eloy Santiago. Treasure Acevedo. Treasure also won the Leadership Award at last week's ACE Mentoring Dinner, so congratulations to her. Ravneet Kaur. Jajit Singh. Vita Farley. Celia Manaras. And I am going to make up for that one that I'm missing. I apologize for that. Now I'm going to give out programs of excellence, certificates of recognition to our instructors and to our supports in this project. Deborah Bruns from Yolo County Office of Education. River City High School teacher Jennifer McAllister. And Westmore Oaks teacher Jen Garcia. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Picture, picture. Congratulations to all our students, and thank you very much for representing Washington Unified. And I know it's usually about this time that our meeting gets a little boring for you, but if you could stay so you could hear your classmates report, that would be great. So if we can go to the student board member report.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I have a report from River City High School. On April 26th from 5:30 to 7:30, River City will be having their second annual Spring Showcase where everyone is welcomed to enjoy fantastic performances, activities, delicious food, and carnival games. This Saturday, the River City girls soccer team will be having a bake sale at the Whitey's Jolly Cone parking lot. All of the money raised from the bake sale will go directly to the families of the victims of the tragic car accident this past Monday. Support or store-bought baked goods would be greatly appreciated. I also have an update from the spring sports at River City. Boys golf has been steadily improving since the beginning of the season. As a team, the students have cut over 50 strokes from their average combined score. At the league match on Monday, River City sophomore Hunter Cradit shot a score of 107 for 18 holes and is in contention for individual playoffs in May. The RC boys tennis team is currently 3-0 in the TCC League and 10-0 overall in 2016. Boys rugby ended regular season play with a strong win over Christian Brothers with the final score of 44-26. River City baseball is off to a good start for their season. Baseball, the team defeated Intercom 10-3. Standout player was Ryan Walstead going 3 for 4. The team defeated Rio Linda 9-3 and lost to Pioneer on a very close game of 4-3. Girls soccer currently has a record of 3 wins and 1 loss in league and an overall record of 10 wins and 2 losses. Girls softball is off to a 3-0 start in league, 8-4 overall, and they played well in a tournament this past weekend against some of the top teams from the South section. Today's Bees ranking came out, and they were at number 7. And finally, the track and field coaches are very pleased with how the track season is going this year. For many of the students, this is their first year of track, but from that group, the team has many rising stars. That's all I have for this evening, but thank you.
Thank you so much. And if there's any more students, and if this is your time, we'll take a brief aha moment to stretch if you'd like to leave. Thank you very much. You're more than welcome to stay. That we have a WTA report.
Hello again. I'm leaving early tomorrow morning for San Jose for the Good Teaching Conference. I'm going to be among 57 other Washington Unified teachers who are giving up their weekend to improve their craft and teaching. So I'm excited, and I want to thank again Dmitry Voloshin and the Ed Services Department for partnering with WTA to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here from CSEA? Are you here representing tonight? Have a safe trip, Dawn. And the rest, who's going, not just everyone.
Okay, I'll introduce myself this time. I'm Karen Friedland. I'm the Sergeant at Arms with our Riverview 168 chapter. As from last month, we got our list of vacancies, and all of them have been posted, and most of them have been filled. And we had a membership drive this month, and we signed up about 20 more members. We also gathered signatures for the extension of the Education and Healthcare Initiative. And from what I've heard from the association is that we have enough signatures. So that's a good thing. And then we just wanted to let you know that we do have concerns about the item P4 on the agenda tonight. And that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. And I do not have any public comments. So if we can go to board and superintendent comments. Board Member Pizzotti?
I just wanted to say congratulations to all our award recipients. That is just shocking at how wonderfully they've done, and it does me proud to see all our kids at the high school doing such a good job, especially in engineering and science and such hard classes and categories, which I failed miserably in high school. I also wanted to say congratulations to the River City softball team for putting on a bake sale to help out the families of those that that lost loved ones. I think that is just so nice. And I hope we can all come together as a community to try and help out those that suffered. It's really hard to lose a loved one, and I understand that. So I hope that we can all do something, a little bit of something, lend an ear, a shoulder, something to help them out. That's it.
Thank you. Board Member Villegas?
Thanks, Kobe, for reminding us all. There's donations going around. There's people doing food meals for the families, so hopefully everybody's seen all that as well. On a lighter note, if you've seen decorations and setup downstairs where the Children's Alliance is having our annual fashion show, this year it's all about the kids. It's a teen takeover, we're saying. The designers are teens. The Culinary Academy students are going to be serving dinner and helping with everything. We're super excited about that. And if you can join us, there's still tickets available at the door. Today I also spoke at the California Housing Conference, and it's a statewide conference regarding housing issues, and pretty excited about the new housing project coming here in West Sacramento, Jamboree. It's a low-income housing project, and a lot of our families will qualify for that. And it's a pretty exciting thing. It's being built right across the street from the bowling alley, so you can watch the progress there, and it's a great program that's coming in with tons of supported services for families. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Alcala?
Thank you. Yesterday, the chair of the California Latino Caucus, Assemblyman Luis Alejo, introduced AB 2016 to establish ethnic studies as an elective for public high schools. Now, last year, Governor Brown actually vetoed that bill, so Alejo is reintroducing it. And I'm hoping that we can maybe pass a resolution here on the board, in support of it. We know that racism is a big problem in this country, and this class would definitely teach cultural awareness and sensitivity and recognize the contributions of different ethnic groups. So it's really important to foster mutual respect for one another, so I really encourage us to do that. And I know that Prop 30 is due to expire. And I've seen signature gatherers going around trying to get it on the November ballot. And I think this is really important because Prop 30 is where the schools receive a lot of their money from. And it was only meant to be a temporary tax. So Prop 30 is asking, people who are putting out the extension for Prop 30 are asking to extend the top bracket income taxes for the very wealthy. And Prop 30 was a temporary measure, but it pumped $7 to $8 billion into state coffers from two sources. About $1 billion of the dollars come from 0.25% increase in the sales tax, and the other $6 billion originates in three tiers: 1%, 2%, or 3% in bumps to taxpayers making $250,000, $300,000, or $500,000 per year. In the past, reductions in taxes for the very wealthy have caused shortfalls for our schools. And in Kansas right now, we've seen how, these tax cuts for the rich have really devastated, their state budget. So when you consider this 1%, 2%, or 3% bump, it's not very large. When you consider all the new wealth has gone, to a very small percentage of individuals that are very wealthy, and only 10% has gone to 90% of Americans. So I think it's really important that because this affects our schools, that we perhaps pass a resolution in support of this. There's another prop out there, Prop 13, that needs to be reformed. And the intent of the act was to protect homeowners from increases on property taxes. That's what it was meant to do, but there was a loophole that actually allowed commercial real estate transactions to evade property taxes. And what they did is they basically described them as corporate stock sales, and they evade paying their fair share, when these property exchanges took place. Now, the reform could close an unfair loophole that is abused for commercial property. Property taxes are how schools are funded. Prop 13 needs to be reformed to stop this abuse. And I'm hoping that in order to help our children, we can pass these resolutions in support of reforms to Prop 13, extending Prop 30, and of course also a resolution supporting Assemblymember Alejo's AB 2016.
Thank you. Board Member Kirby Gonzalez.
Thank you. It was so nice to see, I know they're gone now, but all the students here, there's so many good things happening that it's hard to even celebrate all of them. I see the band down at Disneyland playing, and I see just a lot going on. And so thankful, too, to our teachers who've come out, and you saw them standing behind their students with big smiles on their faces. And I know, I think Miss Garcia had her little one who I'm sure needed to get right to bed here. And so it's a big sacrifice to be here and be late. And it was just really nice to see everybody out here. Miss Yusufi and Miss McAllister like to start their kids young. Their future Raider, my kids, at 4.5, they're doing their science labs when we're over at River City. And so just really appreciate them and all they do for the kids, and all of our teachers do. I appreciated Board President Cruz, the moment of silence. I remembered very clearly Stephanie Finnegan when we had our overflow discussions here in this boardroom, and her son came up and he spoke very eloquently. He spoke about the need for students who are riding their bikes very early in the morning, and it was an emotional discussion. I remember some of us were even teary-eyed hearing him speak, and our hearts just go out to them. I know some of us drive that road every single day. Principal Chin told me today that they were so impressed by the outreach that their school had gotten. I know the crisis team was implemented right away. I was at science camp with my 5th graders, and so I had terrible reception, but I had many missed calls from our student service director, and finally got a hold of him and told me everything was in place and all the work that they were doing. And while we all approved the social workers, I wanted to thank Board Trustee Villegas also, because having social workers I know is a big push for you. And Principal Chin said that having social workers that already know the schools and who are already there is just such a big help for our kids. So, of course, we remember our two parents who we lost, and thinking also about Lloyd's daughter, who's a 5th grader at Bridgeway, who was injured in that. And Terry Clanadon was also somebody who's injured, who also has a GoFundMe account that was signed up. She actually just recently painted the trim on my house. So these are our neighbors, and all of it just touched very close to home. That same area, not very long ago, just up the street from them on my way to work, I saw an accident. Luckily, nobody was critically hurt, but a little girl was hit on a bike. And I talked later to the officer. Officer Lang took that report, and she was okay. She had her helmet on, and the school knew what had happened before the ambulances were even there. And but we had a long talk, Officer Lang, about kids getting off their bikes and walking across the crosswalks, because I think so many of our kids don't know the rules of bikes, right? I see them all the time driving to school, and they're going right through the crosswalk, sometimes without looking. So just another reminder for our kids too. So many of them are riding to school, that they stop at the crosswalk, maybe even just get off their bike and walk. Okay, and in other news, we had our 2x2 meeting, and Board Member Alcala had asked us to discuss a memorial at Bright Park for Charles Costrine, and we did talk about that. And so they're looking over the process for the memorial, and so they didn't know right then and there what the process would be, but they're getting that back to us, and know that it is very much an important thing for us to be looking into. We also talked about the badging program that the city's partnered up with. It's through learning.org. It's lrng.org. And there are these badges that kids get, digital badges. It reminds me kind of the Boy Scouts, but online, in terms of kids will have different experiences, and then they'll get a digital badge for whatever it might be. I looked at the website, I looked pretty critically at it to think, how will this be beneficial? It's still in the very much the early stages. And so watch closely, and something to hear more about. But I like that for West Sacramento, many cities have partnered up with learning.org, but I like that the focus here is really on apprenticeships and partnering with businesses to get kids to have some experience in that way. I had a fantastic visit to 3 of our schools with our Director of Technology, Kim Harrison, as well as one of our community members who's on the technology board. I think some of you know as well, Joe Wood. And so we went around to some of the classrooms thinking, how does technology play a piece in this role? How can our teachers be supported? And they were all wonderful visits. At Bridgeway Elementary School, we saw the whole 1st grade team, Jessica, Jennifer, and Jamie, and they had student-led routines. They had kids on their whiteboards. They had math manipulatives, all those things that we really, kids were very engaged the whole time. It was fabulous. We also saw coding Shiros. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, there are these little gadgets, and this 4th grade teacher was teaching math through coding, and and the kids have these little robots. Okay. And they're coding them, and they're having to make different designs and program them to do different things. It was great to see. 4th graders. And then we also saw 8th grade history. And the strategies in that class, that was Stephanie Kugler, were strategies that could be used just across the board. She teaches history. She works with the History Project at UC Davis as one of their leaders. And the way that technology was integrated in that lesson, it was just seamless. The kids were on the computer looking up some information. It was about abolitionists. And then they had a discussion with one another. Was this person they were studying, was he a fanatic, or was he really a progressive? And it was an incredible discussion that the kids had in front of them. There were the prompts that I noticed some students using to help guide them through this. So the whole lesson was just scaffolded. It was done beautifully with technology. It was incredible. We also went over to Elkhorn, and always appreciate going there and seeing Miss Smith and Mr. Marin. Marin, yes, okay. And their Mesa kids who won, I just want to give them a shout out too, that they'll be competing Saturday at Prairie Elementary, the K-5 Mesa competition. The 6-8 Mesa winners from last month will be competing at UCD on the 30th. They also have junior achievement, something that we've talked about up here, visiting them on the 26th of financial literacy component as junior achievement. And we saw Yolanda Saka and what she had done. She's who's helping with the dual immersion program, but what they had done for student data was really incredible. They created this whole wall where they're looking at kids and what their reading level is and what their math level is, but there was a whole nother component of social interventions, which students are meeting with social workers or who have these extra components. And so they were really looking at the whole child. They created backpacks that go home to make sure that they're getting books at home, read Spanish and English. It was just an incredible support system and data wall that the teachers could use. They clearly had every single student in mind and being discussed for intervention. And lastly, Westfield with Principal Villasenor. I need to practice names before I come. And I love seeing her Google Classroom that she set up for her teachers. And what a fabulous model to set up a Google Classroom so that you're modeling for your staff how they can use it too, with professional development up there. And saw first grade classrooms, and they were doing coding games. It was very cool. So shout out to all of our hardworking staff, and I appreciate them opening their doors to us and for the good conversations that happen.
Thank you. Lots of good reports going on. I want to start by, I have a few more, I know it's a few more months left of the school year. It's gone by fast, and what tends to happen is we have busy schedules. Everybody has busy schedules. So I have a list of dates. I'm going to ramble. I don't want everybody to take them down, but I just want you guys to know what we have up and coming, and if you can make some of these dates, fine. We'd love to see you at each and every one of them. There's a lot of good things going on in our district, so I'm kind of excited about some of these things that are going on. Before I get into that, I think both Kobe and Sarah, and I know the other, I'll give them a shout out. They were a little bit shy about what we've been going through. I know Sarah and I and Superintendent Luna, Art Pimentel, and Harold Levine, we all met and we talked about some early college prep classes, and that was a good meeting. Last Saturday, Kobe and I, with many of our district employees and parents, sat down and talked about our strategic plan, our mission statement with Lindsay from Superintendent, can you help me? The Cambrian Group, to get us on track with our strategic plan and our mission statement. It was an excellent workshop. It was all day, and it was good to hear all the great ideas. And there was a rowdy bunch, I think, from Elkhorn. They were having a really good time. But it was just good to hear all the different ideas. And we do next week have a couple more planning sessions that I look forward to. Kobe and I will be going, and I think Sarah's going to step in on a few. So the district has never had this before. It's usually the board sits down and does these priorities. So it's good to see each site represented, and we're all working together as a district for a common goal for our students. So that's something that's exciting. Let's see. This on Sunday the 24th, we have our graduation for the Fire Youth Academy at 3 o'clock at the City Hall, and that's something exciting because if you can go, we'd like to see you there. Some of our students that participated, I saw some pictures on Facebook of our students actually going out on calls, so that's exciting to see that program. We have the Top 10 Senior Dinner at River City on April 26th. We have K-8 open houses on April 27th. We have the Yolo County Excellence of Education Award on May 2nd. Going back a little bit, because I just have some papers here. April 26th, River City Spring Showcase. I think there's probably some that I'm missing. Well, there's a whole nother list. Also, kudos to, I want to say Dimitri, but I don't want to give you kudos if you didn't do this. But I think the Department of Curriculum Instruction and Professional Learning, the newsletter, is that you? Okay, you can have kudos. I think this is the second one I've seen, and it's really informative, I think, to the board and to others. It's, you know, especially welcoming Carol Lee Churchill. You know, that was exciting. Yes, I see it right there. So I mean, these newsletters popping up everywhere, you know, it's great to get that information. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7 or 8 dates here of upcoming dates you have too. So keeping everybody busy, but that's a good thing. So the communication, I know, has been a sore thumb in the district, but looks like it's improving to me. It's keeping our schedules busy, and thank you for doing that for us. It's a great item for us to have. I was excited to see the River City, their Disneyland photos. What an exciting time for them also. And the last thing I will say, because I know it's emotional, I want to echo Kirby Gonzalez, the getting, for our administration and our staff, getting those services out to our families and students. So, I mean, I got phone calls immediately myself assuring us that, you know, our family and our students will have that support. And it's so important, and it's part of our community that we do come together for each other, and that's part of, I haven't heard Linda say it lately, but our hashtag, it's great to be WUSD, and so it's great to have that family to come together and have that support. I did forget, because my son did come home pretty excited with a flyer, the City of West Sacramento internships. And he's pointing out to me which ones he's interested in, and so that was very exciting to see that flyer come out and the opportunities that our students have, so that's pretty exciting. When I go back to community, West Sacramento is a great community to be here in, and I want to thank our community for coming together, especially for our young students that are going through a hard time. And I also want to thank everybody for their support during the time of my loss. So we are family, and it's great to be here. So Linda, thank you.
Good evening, President Cruz, Board of Trustees, staff, and guests. This evening, I would like to just give some celebrations and highlights about some of my time in the district the past couple weeks. And when I was putting it together, I realized I must be spending a lot of time and support to the work at River City High School, because most of my slides are about River City High School. It just kind of turned out that way. But nevertheless, before I begin all of that, it is great to be a part and a member of WUSD. And tonight I'm just going to show celebrations. There's a lot of work going on. And right now we're just in the height of really moving towards the end of the school year. So everybody is pretty urgent about everything with our kids, because it's our last push. So with that, I do want to say everybody is working hard. The first thing is, you know, I just want to say that it is so great to see our kids being celebrated. And it's a new standard this evening that we started when kids are celebrated or staff are celebrated here at the board level, because they represent the district outside of our school district. They're going to be celebrated here. They should walk away with certificates. I'm probably going to barge in some cookies eventually or something like that, because kids come out, right? And it's in the evening, and I think it's important. I mean, I remember leaving home the night before I was going to get married, and I was wondering, am I supposed to bring all these certificates and these awards that I received when I went to school? Because kids really do keep them, and they really do mean something. And we want our kids to remember that we value them and celebrate them. The culinary arts team, I know that we've talked about it, but if you can watch the Food Network channel and you see like Chopped, or you see
I don't know, those Iron Chefs, all of those competitions. That's exactly what our kids did. It's pretty amazing. First year program, not even a year yet. These 4 kids stood up against people who had been in programs for a few years already, and they did great. So the other thing about the Engineering and Science Academy, I want to thank Principal Moisich for giving us that context of really how great a small program, a program within a school, can really meet the needs of a small group of kids. And that's what we've got to find, is a place for every kid to belong. So I know that we saw a little bit about the Project Solar from K-8 all the way up to the high school. And what I was really touched on was I really got a picture of what it truly was through this 1-2-minute video. So if you'll just bear with me, I think by watching this video, this is really the impact that the kids have across the world from right here in Washington Unified School District. So it's a very short video, but I think it will really help us here. So as you can see, that video really hits home that our kids have given back to another part of the world that has so much less than we do here. And it's kids making that statement. And I thought it was just really powerful that now Washington Unified School District is represented across the world. And I just thought that that was really beautiful for the kids to be here. The other thing I wanted to give a shout out to is we are about ready to bring to the board a recommendation on the math curriculum adoption, and you're going to be hearing a brief update on that this evening. I just want to give a thank you to all the classroom teachers, because this year the pilot went full spectrum to all classrooms, and that was a lot. And I want to make sure that the teachers understand we acknowledge that it was a lot. And I want to thank them for all that work. And I just really hope that what the efforts that they put in this year will benefit them next year when they use the new curriculum. But I want to give a shout out to them. I also want to give a shout out to the math cadre, because the cadre of teachers are the ones who lead. How are we going to roll this out? Who should be involved, and really are the think tank for it. Also want to give a shout out to Educational Services Branch, because it's not just in curriculum and instruction. We have technology that's part of it. They're going back and forth, and now how are we going to ramp up and use technology in our new adoption. So everybody is working together. And of course, our Curriculum Advisory Council, you're going to hear tonight, has given its blessing on it for the board to take a look at. So just want to give a big shout out because it's a big endeavor to do a curriculum adoption. President Cruz had mentioned the strategic planning process has started. We had a really great strategic thinking training, and it really did challenge our thinking. And I think the best part about strategic planning is that we are going to go through a very thoughtful process about who we are, where have we been to become who we are today. Most importantly, to truly think about what is it going to be like for the future of our kids here in West Sacramento. And most importantly, it's not about throwing things out and starting over again. It's really about honoring the traditions of the past so that we can continue to build a promising future for the students here in West Sacramento. Next week, we'll be working Wednesday, Thursday, and half of Friday as a strategic planning committee, and the committee is made up of some administrators, we have teachers, we have some classified staff, we have a community member from the Citizens Oversight Committee, we have parents involved, and I'm going to try to snag a couple of high school kids to join in there because really our kids are the most important voice when we're trying to make plans for the future. So I'm going to try to steal a couple of high school kids off campus that can afford to be gone for 2.5 days and put up with us adults, right? So we're looking forward to it, and I want to thank the board for your support in it because it's an investment. It's an investment on how we're going to build in the future. So this is a picture of my nephew. My nephew is a senior at Christian Brothers, and I had to go to our rugby game when River City played Christian Brothers. And yay for River City, we won that day, thank goodness. And so anyway, I just really hold that picture dear because it was my first rugby game I've ever been to. And so when I saw my nephew playing, of course, you know, I'm cheering for him, but we're screaming for River City as they really had a great game. But it just was really neat to be out on the field and to be with the parents, be with staff that goes out to see our kids play. And the awesome coach, Catherine Foreman, oh, wow, she is a great coach of rugby. And so the kids did a great job, but I just had to share that. And you'll notice I am wearing my Washington Unified shirt there. Also, we want to give a shout out to our high school kids. This is for the spring term. And we got some of the grades back. We have 258 kids that are in some kind of a sports league this spring, and here are our grades. So what we always want to remind everybody is it's great to have sports, and Washington Unified has invested in athletics. But more importantly is that there's still a standard for our students in athletic programs to keep their grades up. And we all know that the discipline of all of these extracurricular activities and team-building activities helps them with their disciplines of studying. So kudos to our high school kids that are also doing sports outside of their studies. We heard about our River City musicians going to Disneyland, and it brought me back to when I was a mom doing that with my daughter. And what I wanted to bring out is it's not about going to Disneyland. Well, of course it is, right? But what I want to make sure people know is that the kids that are in this particular program, the River City Regiment, which is kind of like the marching band concept, not only did they, of course, go down the Main Street parade, but, you know, you have to be accepted for that. And they're pretty rigid. And you can't have a snag in your nylons. You cannot have anything on your uniform at a place where they will quickly remind you and pull you out of the parade. So it's very high standard, and not everybody is allowed to participate, even though you might apply. They also did more than that. They recorded in the Disney studios. They also worked with a conductor from the Disney music program. So these particular students had a really excellent learning experience from the industry itself. And there's our kids. And I want to give a shout out to Tony Marvelli, the leader of all that. And let me tell you, taking a bunch of high school kids down to LA is a feat in itself. So we also want to give thanks to the chaperones and teachers that went. So there was another group that went also. And they're called the Syncopating Sea Monkeys, and I don't know how they came up with that, but they're the jazz group, okay? And I loved hearing them at the Teacher University. They provided music while all of us were gathering, and yes, they went to Disneyland, but here's their learning experience in the industry. They were in a clinic, and they went to a clinic for acting, improvisation, and showmanship. Then they recorded in the Disney studios a score of 3 animated scenes. They also worked with a director of jazz studies from Cal State Fullerton who came over to work with the kids. So the learning experiences and the field trips, I want to assure the board that we are really wanting to make sure that all of our field trips are very grounded in learning. And so here are prime examples. Though it's held at Disneyland, yeah, that's a great, happy place, but our kids really went there for a reason, and that's to have these experiences in the industry itself that they wouldn't necessarily even have here in Sacramento. And there's a picture of them, and our fearless leader, Felicia Weatherly, who does a great job leading the jazz ensemble. And so congratulations to our kids. Another event that's happening on Tuesday night is our Employee of the Year celebration over at Rayleigh Field, and I'm really excited to be able to experience this for the first time. My son is coming. He's bringing his friends as well. So we're looking forward to celebrating our employees at the baseball game together. And I know that some of the board members are going. You've bought tickets, and it's going to be a great time. I also want to give a shout out to Bridgeway Island and Stonegate band kids who have really rallied the troops to get out there and taken up a whole section, sold way an abundance of tickets. So we're going to have lots of families out there. It's going to be great. We have celebrated also partners in our student success. So you may have heard the news and media release on this. We had our State Superintendent of Public Instruction with us, Tom Torlickson. We also had our trustee, Kobe Pizzotti. Thank you so much for attending that day and representing the board in this particular media release. We also had the state PTA president here, and this is Justine Fisher, who's very passionate about empowering parents to be a part of the students' learning. She had some great remarks to make, and it's a great partnership with PTA. Also want to give a shout out to the administration and the staff at Bridgeway Island for hosting it. We had Fox 40, and I believe it was KOVR 13. And we also had another media crew that was out there that was they're going to do follow-up stories on our district about how technology is used in classrooms. So it was about that, about the kickoff of the CASP testing, but now they're going to do some more follow-up stories about Washington Unified and how we're doing technology. So it was a kickoff for CASP testing, and so we just want to address, we're in the middle of it. Some of the schools have just started. Some schools are starting next week. So as parents at home, what can we do to help our students? Just some standard things. We want our students to get plenty of sleep. Sleep doesn't hurt anybody. So we want to make sure that we get our kids to bed at an appropriate time for them to be fresh in the morning. We want to limit our activities to reasonable time. In other words, the video games and cell phone use, it's okay to limit our kids during this time that they have to do some testing. We want to make sure our kids have breakfast every morning. We know that really helps their metabolism and mind to start. We want to do positive support each morning, and as a parent, I had a hard time with this because, I wanted to make sure I got everything that my kids needed to know before they got out of my car. And what will be helpful, I think, at least from the feedback my kids gave me, is let's wait to have those discussions till after school so that they don't have all of that going into school. And lastly, let's get our kids to school on time and at school every day. Whether we're testing or not, we want our kids here so that they can engage in learning with their peers and with their teacher in the classroom. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not mention the heartbreak that our district has felt for our students. And I have a picture here of 3 candles because we have 3 students who have lost a parent. And so I chose the candle because the light brings hope. And for us as a district and as a community, we must remember that we serve as that light, and we are that hope for our students who are suffering and going through a lot of pain right now. So we will always remember, and we will always be here for our children. Thank you.
We are to information discussion items. N1, receive report 2016 adoption of instructional materials TK-12 mathematics, Dimitri Volushin, Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
Good evening, President Cruz, board members, Superintendent Luna, Cabinet. Thank you very much for your time today, and we will try to go to this item fairly quickly. Before we even begin with acknowledgements, President Cruz, thank you for your kind words about the communications. However, any team is only as strong as every single person in it, and I cannot speak highly enough about the team that we were able to build and facilitate. And Matt Wilkins is here tonight. We also have Connie Vandorian. I know she's running around trying to get all the papers together, but every Thursday it's a team effort putting together all the communications. Moving on with the pilot. We're very grateful to 209 teachers who piloted this. For a district of our size, it is a very, very high percentage. We were able to engage most people affected by the pilot, and that is why the process moved away quite smoothly without much dissent, if you will. We are very grateful to 32 teachers who have been serving on mathematics cadres. We have 2 cadres, one for elementary mathematics, one for secondary. They have been advising us throughout the entire process. They guided our work. They created evaluation rubrics. They helped us evaluate pilot teacher feedback. We are very grateful to all of them. We are super grateful, of course, to the superintendent and the cabinet for ongoing mentoring and support and coaching throughout this process. Our technology department has been very flexible. These adoptions are technology-driven. There were many changes of place, of plans, of places, of equipment, you name it. And we are very grateful to Kim and Melissa, who are right there, for everything they've done for us and continue doing. And last but not least, of course, our team that been there throughout the entire process. So if you would allow me to walk you briefly through the pilot timeline. In October of last year, our our mathematics cadre got together. We evaluated rubrics that existed at the state level. We started using those rubrics to begin the discussion of what is important for Washington teachers and what is important for Washington students. And the cadre was able to create evaluation rubrics. Later the same month, we have heard from the publishers. 17 programs were presented by about 6 or 7 publishers to the teachers. On November 3rd, the teachers who attended publisher presentations used the rubrics that were created earlier on to decide which 2 programs per grade level would be piloted at the district. Once those programs were identified, in early January, the publishers were invited to train the pilot teachers, which they have done. And the pilot began on January 9th and ran its course through April 1st of this year. Throughout the pilot, we tried to provide as many opportunities for the teachers to collaborate, to meet together, and to discuss each other's programs and get each other's input. Thank you. Okay, so the pilot ended on April 1st. First 4 days of April, teachers provided input, yet again based on the rubrics created by the cadre. And both cadres, elementary and secondary, came together on April 4th at the end of the day to assess teacher input, to analyze the data, and to make the final recommendation to the Curriculum Council. Curriculum Council met on April 7th. We are very grateful to Sarah Kerber-Gonzalez for representing the board and the council and for all the thoughtful questions. Thank you, Sarah. And they looked at the recommendation of the cadres, heard from several pilot teachers, and unanimously forwarded their recommendation to you. And the recommendation is right there on the screen. It is also on your handout. For elementary school, it is Houston Mifflin Harcourt Go Mathematics. For middle school, it is CPM, which is College Preparatory Mathematics, Core Connections. For high school, for your main high school courses, which would be Integrated Mathematics 1, 2, and 3, which have replaced Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, that would be Carnegie Learning. And for your advanced level courses, they are Precalculus, the new edition of Precalculus by Pearson, AP Calculus by Holt, and Math and U by Larson for financial mathematics courses. What you see here is a few quotes from some of our pilot teachers whom we asked to reflect on the process. And we have also invited 2 of our pilot teachers to be here today with us, and they will share their feedback on the programs.
Good evening. My name is Carolee Churchill, and I'm a first grade teacher, and I'm going to present Go Math to you. I wanted to go over some of the highlights of the program that teachers found. First of all, the highlights that teachers feel benefit students the most. Go Math has problem solving built into the daily lessons, which addresses an area of struggle for many of our students. There is an essential or guiding question presented at the beginning of each lesson, and it helps students better understand why they are asked certain questions or they are asked to perform certain tasks. There are performance tasks and critical area projects, which allow for real-world application of taught concepts. And then math vocabulary is presented at the beginning of each chapter so that students can practice and build academic language. And then the homework that students receive is well aligned to the lessons. In terms of technology, there is an interactive student edition which is available online so that students can access that from school and home. There are also reteach videos available so students who are not understanding concepts can practice those on their own. There is a program called Personal Math Trainer which provides adaptive and diagnostic feedback and then provides targeted instruction for students who are struggling. Many of the younger students liked the characters that were included in the program, and they thought that the games were engaging. And then people felt that the online component was student and user-friendly. And in terms of the benefits for teachers, which really will go back to benefiting students, teachers felt that the program provided a good background for teaching strategies. For example, why we're teaching the lessons that were provided. There were a lot of options for lesson variation, a variety of activities, and flexible pacing. EL strategies were well presented in the beginning of each chapter and embedded in each lesson. And there were different activities and suggested strategies to reach all learners. There was a common error section in each lesson, and it helps teachers identify and address common mistakes that students might make. During each lesson, there are ideas for quick checks so that teachers can address mistakes as the lesson is being taught with different response to intervention strategies. There are differentiation opinions for students at above and below grade levels. And teachers also like the spiral review component so that students are practicing the components year-round and not just one time throughout the year. And then teachers also liked the online testing and homework feature and the online gradebook option. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Annie Rakich. I'm a 6th-year math teacher. This is my 4th year at River City High School. When I first started, we were doing the traditional pathway with algebra, geometry, algebra 2. About 2 years ago, I was the first one to start piloting an integrated math, but we had no materials, so I'd pretty much find whatever I could online and supplement stuff. Last year, I was the first one to teach both Math 2 and Math 3. So this year, I was very excited when we got to actually pilot something that had material to work with. I was also one of 2 teachers that did both of the pilots. I did the Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt, as well as the Carnegie. And me, as well as the other person who taught both of them, we far preferred the Carnegie. As Dimitri was saying, through April 1st is when the pilot was scheduled to continue.
Every single person who was teaching with the HMH has decided to switch back and use old material because of complaints of what some students felt for the high school level, it didn't really work for them, whereas every single person who was piloting Carnegie is still continuing to use the Carnegie units because we feel like it benefits the students more. One of the basic things that we think is the key component for Carnegie is with everything coming out with all the Common Core and the focus on not just doing a math problem, but actually thinking about the math and communicating the reasoning and critiquing the arguments and justifying their own span of thinking. And it's all embedded in every single lesson. It's not kind of the traditional math classroom that for a long time was, let's do a problem together, now you practice the same type of problem. It's trying to get the students to think critically and problem solve, which are skills that they're going to end up having much longer than just, I remember learning that one formula in math. As we've kind of looked through some of the lessons, there is that amount of rigor to it that isn't always there because it forces those kids that maybe were never challenged, that they can kind of think more outside the box. But at the same time, a lot of the beginning of each lesson has kids kind of having that open opportunity to think on their own. So even kids that I found that before were struggling with, I can't do this calculation, or I'm not going to share out, when it's just saying, here, look at these pictures, what do you see? It allows openings for the students who maybe before were struggling, but it also provides opportunities for the students who needed this extra challenges. So it is very much all group collaborative learning. The teams work together to kind of construct their own knowledge of the topics, as well as the online component that goes with it is called Cognitive Tutor, and it definitely helps prepare students for what they'll have to do with the SBAC testing of that idea of, oh, I might have to do math on a piece of paper, but then answer it on the computer. So it gets them used to that whole process. It's forcing them to master certain skills before it lets them move on. So that's the way the online component is set up, is so that it's more, that's where the individual student gets to build their skills. So it kind of encompasses everything that we want our students to be able to do. The more in-person collaboration and communication component, as well as the one-on-one, they get specific help with the skills that they need as well. So that's why, as us at the high school, we hope that you guys accept the adoption for Carnegie Learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions at this time from the board?
I just have one question.
Please.
So I'm hearing, I believe the teachers are saying that these programs are really great because they help them evaluate much quicker, and they're able to pinpoint which students
Yes.
online and get the necessary help to those students that are not quite getting it.
Right, right. So the programs, all of them in their nature are adaptive, and these are the accomplishments, if you will, of the new technology. And adaptive learning is simply different. In the past, when I went to school, I took notes, and a teacher lectured 35 of us, and we all took notes, and then we all did the very same problem, right? Today, you have 35 students on 35 machines during the computer component of the lesson. They would start on the very same problem. However, depending on their response, their second problem would be different, and the third one, and the fourth one, and so on, right? Because the software would identify what is their gap. I may be struggling with multiplication, yet division is challenging for you. And then we would get individual instruction and reteaching on those topics. And by the end of the class, everyone gets challenged according to whatever level of support they need. And your advanced learners are not bored. And your students who need additional support are not feeling completely left behind.
I love that.
That's great. Any more questions?
No, I think that's great.
You have a question?
Thank you.
Hi. Okay, I appreciate, too, that you said that computer component, because that is, of course, just one piece of it. Obviously, the instruction, the teacher working with students is the other piece too. As we look at this, I just want to make sure from our standpoint that we make sure that we support the math manipulatives, because I know that when teachers piloted this, they didn't have the actual manipulatives, and there's a lot of research that shows that kids need that, and we certainly don't want teachers to all have to be scrambling or picking, going to the store and buying all of them themselves. So that is a piece that I just want to make sure that as a district that we support the manipulatives, whatever they may be, maybe assess what we have already, so we're not buying extra that just go in a closet, but that's an important piece of this.
Absolutely,
And then I
thank
just
you.
want to thank the teachers too who stayed to share. This was a really late night to have information discussion at this time, and I know that teaching is tiring and you have young children at home, and so thank you to all of the staff that came out too. And thank you.
Thank
for
you
the
very
process.
much.
And I too want to thank all the teachers that piloted the program, because of course, if they don't take their time to do this for us, we don't know what works and what doesn't. And for the teachers that came out, they just seem so excited about these programs and about the information on hand, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I can just say very quickly, this is the 4th mathematics adoption that I have done. And I have never come across a group of people so driven by student learning and so collaborative and so willing to put aside whatever conceptual or philosophical difficulties or differences they may have towards working for the common goal. We really have an exemplary team here, and we're very fortunate.
I just want to say our teachers rock in this district.
They do.
Okay, thank you.
They do. Thank you again, and we will be back in 2 weeks with an action item.
Okay, thank you. I have information discussion item N2, Sunshine Washington Unified School District's proposal to WTA regarding Article 5, transfer and reassignment procedures, and Article 11, leaves. Michael Reed, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
So there's no motion at this time. This is an information item only, and will be brought back for a public hearing as well as for action on the April 28th Board of Education meeting.
Okay, I do have a public comment on this. Don Stoffer.
Good evening again. I just wanted to say that although the district is undertaking these 2 articles at this time and opening them, WTA's focus is going to continue to be on finishing the articles that are currently the impasse, and we are going to finish that work before we will consider coming to the table on any new business. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments? Sorry. Action items, 01, approval of the certification of signatures, Board of Education. Resolution number 1516-24, Scott Landsberg, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
Good evening, President Cruz, members of the board. You've seen this resolution before, and you'll see it again in another few months. As Mr. Reed came and joined our ranks, we have to send a new certification of signatures to the County Office of Ed. So that'll go up once you approve Resolution 151624, and we'll bring you one again down the road when we fill the vacancy left by Mr. Spalding. So this is kind of a resolution that'll consistently be updated as we have a need to change our certification of signatures with the county.
Any comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve the certification of signatures?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
This is a resolution, so I need a roll call vote. Board Member Pizzati?
Aye.
Board Member Alcala?
Aye.
Board Member Villegas?
Aye.
Board Member Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
And I too vote aye. We are to the consent agenda, and at this time, I would like to make a modification. The board is going to table item P4 under the consent agenda. This contract will be brought back at the next board meeting. Is there any more modifications? If there is not, at this time, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are to board governance, the first read board policy and administrative regulation 6163.4, student use of technology, educational services. Is that Superintendent Luna? No, Kim? Okay.
Good evening, President Cruz, board members, and Superintendent Luna. I have before you a update to our board policy 6163.4 and our administrative regulation on student use of technology. This is a first read of this policy, and so I will be bringing it back to you in a couple of weeks at the next meeting with any recommendations that you may have. If you take a look at it, you'll see that there is a significant amount of red, and I want to explain what changes that I put in and answer any questions that you might have. What alerted me to make this update to this board policy is that we are applying for E-rate funding, which is through the federal government. It provides discounts on our telecom, voice services, circuits, data services, and it also allows us to have discounts on equipment and cabling projects to upgrade our network across the district. There are two things that are required, there are a number of things that are required. One of the things that we already have in our board policy is our SEPA compliance, which talks about our filtering system that is in place to keep our kids away from harmful, obscene, pornographic materials, and that has been in place for quite some time. What has been added to the compliance piece is how are we going to educate our students on how to be safe online. And so the biggest change to this, other than just some language and updating it to better reflect what is in the CSBA board sample language and consistent with other board or other school districts' policies in this area, the biggest change is probably the last paragraph on page 3 of 3. And it's the paragraph right above the legal references. And that is the place that we need to have information in our board policy that talks about the measures that we're putting in place to protect our children, to provide them with instruction on social networking, chat rooms, internet services, some of the dangers about posting online, sharing personal information, cyber safety, cyberbullying. One of the things that we instituted starting in September, knowing that we would be applying for E-rate, is the Common Sense Media Digital Citizen lessons. They're about 45 minutes long, K through 12. We've asked all the teachers in the district to at least teach one of the lessons that would help us stay in compliance. DTAC, which is our District Technology Advisory Committee, is actually working on a K-12 matrix of digital citizenship curriculum based upon common sense media. So that is probably our biggest change to this policy. I only updated the board policy because I want to spend some more time on the AR and really kind of get in there and look at our student technology acceptable use policy, which DTAC is in the process of updating. So that would be reflected in the AR, and so I hope to bring that back to you at a later date. So essentially, those are the changes. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those, or if you have any recommendations, I'd be happy to make note of those. Thank you.
Any comments, questions?
Hi. So just to clarify, this is digital citizenship for students inside, but of course outside of the walls
Yes.
of our classroom too. Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen some places that sometimes partner with the police department as well. I know that in this area that you were the expert, but are there any resources, or do you know of any that that might cross that wall too? Maybe the police department might be able to.
What I would like to do, what we have put on our calendar for the fall, starting in the fall, is parent nights, where we would be having technology training for parents and talking to parents about, screen time. I know Superintendent Luna talked about screen time in terms of testing, but I know in my family, that's an issue. But just having those conversations with parents, it was something I talked at Parent University with the parents in attendance there. But I would love to partner with our local agencies and really help share this information, because kids don't think about what they do online, and we really need to make them aware that you don't do things online that you wouldn't do in person. And so there's a lot of growing in that area, and as we add more technology to our schools, we really need to make sure that they're being responsible about the technologies that they're using.
I so appreciate that. I heard some from a workshop recently where they talked about how parents don't know how to navigate this world because when they were kids, their parents didn't have to navigate it. So I know that the district is a huge support for them, and thank you for all you do.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Pizzotti?
Yeah, I think this is actually very good. I would certainly love to see what you plan to teach the students on cyberbullying and how what somebody does online can have an impact at a future point in their life. They don't see it now, but something that you do stays on the internet forever. And it can go on and on and on, and they may not know what the repercussions are right now, but some years down the road when you're looking for that job, it still may be there just because your name's attached to it. So I just think it's really good for instructional purposes to let these kids know what we have in the future to look at if this is, a problem. And I think this is great. Thank you.
Board Member Alcala?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's a great idea. I mean, every day we see in the newspaper some tragic case, where this bullying is some kids take their lives because they're bullied online. So this, ounce of prevention is very important. And I agree with you, Mr. Pizzotti, because not everyone has $175,000 to try and scrub the internet, So, thank you.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to update our policies that people haven't looked at. And with the IT, especially with IT, it changes all the time. So it's so important that we keep the policies updated. So thank you for taking that time.
I just wanted to add one last thing. I did the FBI Citizens Academy, and they actually had a great training for me. And I think it would actually benefit everybody, students and adults alike, on what to put on the internet, what not to, and they gave examples, and I was a horrible example of what not to put on the internet. But it was a great training, and they might have some resources.
Okay.
I can put you in contact with the person
That'd be great.
I did the training with. So
Okay, that'd be
it'd
wonderful.
helpful.
Okay, great.
Good job, though. Thanks for doing it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Along with the board governance, there's a couple of things. Earlier, I don't think any of us announced, or maybe we did, but the school district employee recognition award ceremony is Tuesday, May 17th. We might have hit on that. I don't remember anyone saying that. But we have some flyers up here, so I didn't hear some comments on some of these. And along with that, we have under our governance, we have the CSBA Leadership Institute that Superintendent Luna is going to be going to, the Leading and Taking Action for Student Success. I don't know if Ashley got it, but I did reply that I was interested in going. If anybody else is interested, please let them know so we can get timely registrations. And I don't think we'll be needing any hotel rooms since we're here in Sacramento this year. But I did want to bring that. I did email the board last year when board member Leland was here. She pointed us to a Washington Unified Board of Trustees creed that we had, and we started it and never finished it. So I emailed the board a governance statement and part of the creed. There was 2 documents. So in lieu of time tonight, I don't want to go over it, but I'd like you to look at that for our next board meeting, and it's my hope we can condense that. And also, I'm going to start bringing forward our board evaluation of ourselves. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But I would like you guys to look at those 2 documents that I emailed, and any suggestions, ideas, anything you want to add, anything that is probably not pertinent because these are old documents also, just let me know on that. Is there anything else under governance? Superintendent Luna? Anyone
Yeah,
else? Right now?
on-
Yes.
Oh, that's governance, I'm sorry, I was going down already to future board agenda items.
Did you fill out a form?
Yeah, last week, or last meeting, and it's not on there. That's what I
Okay.
was,
Uh,
the Prop
board-
30 tax extension resolution that I filled out for last week, I
How
sent.
about we go to future board agenda items now?
Hey, there's an idea.
R1, the California Voting Rights Act and Board of Trustees areas, and yes, Mr. Pizzotti did fill out the form. I think there was some discussion.
I sent actually some information to Linda for her to give to the board when we bring that up. I was just wondering when we were going to have that up as an agenda item.
We plan on doing that at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Very good. Anything else for future board agenda items?
I'd like to put Prop 13 up also.
Did you fill out a
Did I mention?
form?
No, I'm going to fill a form out.
Need a form.
And the resolution,
Need a
also
form.
for
And
ethnic
resolution.
studies. Okay, I'll do that.
We're gonna get a form and gonna get it emailed. I'm gonna hold the board and support some accountability instead of just blurting out on meetings. I'd like it in writing.
Hey, I did mine.
You did. You got a gold star. So if there's nothing more future board agenda items, we are going back into closed session at this time. And you are more than welcome to stay. I can't tell you it's gonna be 5 minutes. I can't tell you it's gonna be 2 hours. But we thank you for coming, and you're more than welcome to hang around.